Along with Virginia's allegation of trafficking, Andrew Lowney, who has written the royals' unauthorised biography, claims to have laid bare other potential crimes, almost all driven by Andrew's hunger for cash.
Tonight we explore something the palace never meant for the public to uncover, a quiet yet relentless plan taking shape behind closed doors, a plan crafted to manage two figures who for decades have kept the monarchy on edge, waiting for the next humiliation. Insiders now say Buckingham Palace has created a sealed archive holding more than 30 years of private details on Andrew Mountbatten Windsor and Sarah Ferguson, not rumours, not guesses, but recorded actions, financial ties, risky associations, and personal missteps that senior staff have reportedly concluded can no longer be left scattered and unchecked. The record exists for one reason: to make sure Andrew and Sarah stay silent and cooperative at a time when the Crown cannot afford another controversy, because the reality is straightforward.
And the accommodation will be bankrolled by the King. The same can't be said for Fergie, who's homeless and not swimming in cash by the looks of it.
Yes, she's hoping some sort of generous benefactor will take her in. But the thing is, that's been happening now for 30 years.
They hold enough harmful information to shatter the monarchy's public reputation if even a small part of it were ever revealed. This is the view of senior insiders who portray the pair as a long-term threat, a danger now being controlled through one of the most extreme internal actions the modern royal household has ever taken. The choice to assemble the dossier did not emerge randomly. It came after a series of new jolts that reminded the palace that both Andrew and Sarah continue to be liabilities. The first shock was the posthumous memoir of Virginia Giuffre, which pushed Andrew's alleged behaviour back into worldwide attention. Even after her passing, the accusations still carried weight, and the palace recognised that the situation was nowhere near settled.
Day after the infamous photo of him with 17-year-old Virginia Giuffre hit the papers. That email was sent months after he claimed he'd cut ties with Epstein. If true, it could mean he lied during his infamous 2019 Newsnight interview.
Then came the exposed Epstein emails, the messages in which Andrew reportedly complained that he could no longer handle the pressure, emails that revived doubts about his judgment and his private behaviour. This was a sharp warning that information tied to Andrew still hides in archives, inboxes and personal servers that the palace cannot fully command. For the monarchy, the troubles of the past 20 years were rising again, and the Yorks were once more at the centre of the storm. Royal sources say the King acted only after strong pressure from two major figures. Prince William and Queen Camilla. William was frustrated by Andrew's persistence in releasing grand self-important public comments, as though he still had the authority to speak for the monarchy.
The King isn't there to exercise some grip. Prince William is quite rightly with his wife and family while she's recovering and having treatment for cancer. Nobody exercising any grip.
No.
Princess Anne should have handbagged him.
I don't know.
Statements that enraged senior staff and made the palace seem weak. Camilla, who has little tolerance for the turmoil connected to Andrew, reportedly pushed Charles to set a firm boundary. She has long believed that Andrew and Sarah generate needless instability, and that their ongoing controversies drain public support from a monarchy already facing scrutiny. This was the atmosphere in which the dossier was assembled, not as a curiosity but as a tool of control. The palace holds decades of reported material regarding Andrew's conduct. Some of it has surfaced publicly, while much remains unseen. Among the documented accusations are long-time reports that he allegedly invited sex workers during an official taxpayer-funded trip to Hong Kong, claims that he was said to have entertained large numbers of escorts during a visit to Thailand, and his ongoing and difficult-to-explain association with Epstein long after Epstein's initial conviction.
Prince Andrew is being stripped of his prince title. But why now? Buckingham Palace said the King has today initiated a formal process, and his younger brother will now be known as Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. He gave up his other titles earlier this month, including the Duke of York, after facing questions about his private life.
Reports from staff described his volatile temper, his sense of entitlement, and his belittling treatment of employees, along with his widely repeated insistence on travelling only with a personal ironing board, a valet, and a list of demands that became a running joke among palace workers, followed by the disastrous television interview that wiped out the remaining pieces of his public reputation. This does not even include his financial ties, overseas contacts, or the circles he moved in during the Years he viewed himself as untouchable. To put it simply, Andrew's private sphere is seen as a collection of risks, and the palace is fully aware of it. Royal Lodge was the last marker of Andrew's former standing, a 30-room residence he tried to hold on to with remarkable persistence, but the king's tolerance finally snapped and the estate is no longer his to protect.
Terms of the lease say that as long as Prince Andrew maintains the upkeep of the property and the repairs and the renovations, then he is within the terms of the lease, and therefore it is very difficult to remove him or for him to move.
Andrew will be relocated to a small cottage on the Sandringham estate, a monitored setting with minimal staff, no grand rooms, and no private areas for visitors who could attract scrutiny. This is not simply a reduction in comfort, it is containment, yet even Andrew is reportedly not viewed as the real threat. The larger concern is Sarah Ferguson. According to royal biographer Andrew Loney, the palace's fear is not Andrew making public comments. It is Sarah. He explained it bluntly. Andrew knows everything, but he will never speak. He shared all of it with Fergie, which makes her the risk. Despite a long public record of questionable judgment, Fergie has always held one major advantage: access. She spent years beside Andrew through holidays, private meals, financial discussions.
Sarah Ferguson has broken her silence over rumors about remarrying her ex-husband, Prince Andrew. Speaking to Bella magazine, Sarah said, "I get asked that all the time. We are very happy as we are."
Late-night conversations, tense disputes, names that were never published, trips that were never officially recorded, and contacts who disappeared after Epstein's downfall. She is said to know information that has never reached the public, not out of malice, but because she has lived inside the narrative, and the palace reportedly understands exactly what she could disclose if she ever felt pressured. The dossier is said to contain her own collection of past missteps, which palace officials have not overlooked. These reportedly include her attempt to sell access to Andrew to undercover journalists, her substantial unpaid debts, and her long dependence on wealthy supporters to rescue her financially. The noted £15,000 loan from Epstein, and their continued association. The ongoing reports of excessive spending and disordered finances, including £65,000 on a personal trainer she allegedly visited only twice per year. Her tendency to speak informally in interviews about private royal topics, and her long-running wish to maintain a public profile even when it unsettled the monarchy. Together, these episodes create a clear picture. Fergie is portrayed as impulsive, financially fragile, and unpredictable, a mix that insiders believe poses a risk to the institution. In the past year alone, Sarah has stirred several new problems for the royal household. Her children's book being suddenly pulled from distribution without explanation sparked new speculation. Her growing visibility at public events despite holding no official role frustrated senior staff. Her ties to the Epstein email controversy renewed attention on her own reported connection to the disgraced financier. Her potential move to Portugal to stay in Princess Eugenie's villa signaled she may be preparing for a life beyond royal oversight, and most recently insiders claim she is again contemplating writing a memoir driven by financial pressures.
I suspect he doesn't. I don't think he has much self-awareness. I mean, that thing that was apparent from that Newsnight interview, wasn't it? That was the thing that came across, I think, most strongly.
And he thought it had gone well.
Yes, he thought it had gone well. He doesn't really have any self-awareness. He doesn't really understand how people see him.
The palace observed all of this and reacted in the only way it believed was possible. The concern within Buckingham Palace is not only what has happened in the past, but what could still emerge. There are major unresolved questions, such as what Sarah may have witnessed during Andrew's jet-setting years, which financial supporters backed the York household, and for what reasons, what private behaviour of Andrew's she may have seen that never reached the media, why she defended him so strongly behind the scenes, which prominent figures visited Royal Lodge over the years without public disclosure, and what she reportedly knows about Andrew's darkest chapter during his association with Epstein. It is the potential for new disclosures that unsettles the palace, not the old ones, and this is why the dossier is said to exist to keep both of them restrained if they ever attempt to take control of the narrative. According to insiders, the strategy is straightforward. Andrew will be moved and kept away from the public, his staff will be minimized, and his close network will be discreetly observed. Sarah will be approached differently, not harshly, but with unmistakable pressure. She will be reminded at calculated moments that the Crown holds information that could be extremely harmful if revealed. This is not negotiation, it is containment. If a dossier of this sort truly exists, it represents one of the most forceful internal steps taken by the modern royal institution. Andrew Mountbatten Windsor has been Pushed out of public life, Sarah Ferguson is viewed as the unpredictable element, and Buckingham Palace has prepared itself for the possibility that one day either of them might choose to speak. The firm is not waiting for that day, it is working to prevent it. This is control in its purest form, and it is the most direct warning they will ever receive. In recent months, a new wave of allegations has circulated in royal and investigative circles, intensifying the already concerning portrayal of Andrew. Former staff from his international tours have described what they called a pattern of late-night visitors at high-end hotels booked under diplomatic arrangements, including claims that Andrew demanded entire floors be cleared to ensure privacy during certain trips.
Case for his basically financial corruption, the way that he abused his position as the special representative for trade and investment between 2001 and 2011. He was helping his business chums do business, for example, in China and the Middle East.
A long-serving royal protection officer speaking anonymously claimed that Andrew made unplanned day tours while overseas, which security personnel only discovered afterward, often involving private dinners with people whose names never appeared on official schedules. There are also ongoing rumors within diplomatic circles that certain foreign business contacts actively sought Andrew's attention during his time as a trade envoy offering hospitality, arrangements that raised concerns and were quietly reported back to the palace. None of these allegations have been fully confirmed, but the mere fact they continue to surface highlights why Buckingham Palace reportedly views Andrew as a persistent reputational risk, and why the dossier is said to extend far beyond what the public already knows. All of this puts the monarchy in a position it had long hoped to avoid: a disgraced former prince with decades of questionable conduct behind him, an ex-wife who is believed to know far more than is comfortable, and a royal family now operating defensively, holding a dossier that reportedly exists purely out of fear of what might still come to light. Sarah and Andrew have long been unpredictable, but for the first time the palace appears to be treating them as an active threat rather than a historic embarrassment. It is an extraordinary situation, showing just how fragile the institution remains beneath the polished surface. If even a portion of what insiders allege is true, we are witnessing the Crown preparing quietly, strategically, and ahead of time. The question now is not only what the Yorks have done in the past, but what they could still choose to reveal. The monarchy is bracing for further upheaval, and the public may wish to do the same. New developments are expected, and this story is far from over.